A South Carolina judge has declared a mistrial in the case of a former South Carolina cop charged with murdering an unarmed black man back in April 2015. Officer Michael Slager pulled over Walter Scott for a broken taillight. Scott ran from his car, then was shot in the back. CBS News correspondent Mark Strassmann is in Charleston. He spent the day in court. Mark, this is a case that seemed to have clear evidence to convict. Do we have a sense of what the key issues were here?
I have no idea, Meg. That's the key question, I think, for everyone involved. We're still waiting now for the lawyers from both tables, prosecutors and defense lawyers, and the Scott family to come down and give us their impressions of what it was that they think led to this deadlocked jury and now a mistrial, which puts basically everybody probably through the whole process all over again. We knew there were issues last Friday when there was a holdout juror who apparently said that under no circumstances was it possible for him or her to consider a guilty verdict. But today the jury came back, gave the judge a note, and the first line of the note was that a majority of us are undecided, and then they asked a handful of questions, all of which seemed to suggest that this jury was still open to deliberating. So back in they went for a fourth day. But they came back about a half hour ago, and after 22 hours of deliberations, the only thing this jury could agree on unanimously was that there was no point in continuing. And at that point, the judge really had no choice but to declare a mistrial. Meg?
Mark, what was the reaction in court when the mistrial was declared?
Well, I mean, there's obviously disappointment on the part of the Scott family, who wanted this to be over. They've waited since April of last year for what their sense of justice is in this case. You know, it's interesting. Anthony Scott is Walter Scott's brother. You'll recall when this first happened and then the video surfaced a couple of days later, Officer Slager was arrested right away. And what heartened the Scott family at that point and all their supporters was that justice seemed to be working. That is, there was a sense of accountability in the process. The officer was arrested. But their key was, okay, how is this going to end? The real moment of truth for them, for this case, and for this city, in some respects, was going to be, what was the verdict going to be? Well, at this point, we still don't know. That moment is on hold because we have a mistrial.
What's next, Mark? Have prosecutors indicated whether they will try Michael Slager again? And if so, what would the timeline be on something like that?
It's a really good question. We're expecting to hear from prosecutors shortly. I mean, if I had to guess, and of course, risky business, I guess, yes, they will push for a retrial. And then, of course, that has to go through the process. Somebody has to assign the case to a judge. Then they have to see where there's a spot on the docket for a trial that's going to take 3-4 weeks. But, you know, clearly not until next year is this case going to be back in court at all. And so we got a lot of people here who sort of had a half a sense that this was not going to end conclusively today, and that is in fact what has happened. No decision.
All right, Mark Strassmann for us in Charleston. Thank you.